Hey kids, it's Pastor Josh here, and I get the opportunity to share a day 5 story for VBS Madness from Matthew. And so, as we get started, I want to just let you know we're going to be in Matthew 7, and verse 24 through 29. And so, a little background of the story we're sharing is it's a parable. So, a parable would be something that Jesus would speak in his day, was more like storytelling. And the great thing about Jesus is A, he was a great teacher, but B, was a great teacher in a way to teach everybody. And one of the ways he would do it is when he would talk about spiritual things or things of heaven, or things that were like even kind of hard to understand. He would tell them in a parable way or a storytelling way that would relate to the people around them, and they would have more of a chance to understand what he was saying. So this story is kind of really cool because it talks about storms. It talks about, we're going to talk about smash. We're going to talk about solid foundation. We're going to talk about rock. And we're going to talk about how Jesus is working through all of those situations. So let's get started. Matthew 7, verse 24 is where we're going to start. If you guys want to follow along, you can. But again, it's up to you. I'll be reading it for you. So everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. So Jesus is starting right away, and he's letting people know, if you listen to these words, they're going to do you good. You'll be wise. You'll be smarter for these words. It's going to help you in life. And so he says, man's built his house on a rock. So the rock reference would actually be Jesus at this point. All right. So he's saying anybody who builds them house on me is a solid foundation. And he says in life, right? And when the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it would not fall, because it was founded on the rock, because it was founded on Jesus, is what he's telling them. But then he says, and everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house. And it fell, and great was the fall of it. Okay. So sometimes I like to put in, and smash was what happened to it. All right. So say you go to the beach, and a lot of you guys probably have been to the beach before, and you build a sandcastle. It's really, really fun. You build a sandcastle. But if you build a sandcastle too close to the waves, guess what happens eventually by that night? Is the waves come and they smash and it's all gone. Right? So it's hard to build a sandcastle on sand because sand is the foundation. It's going to wash away. He's saying if you build your house on a rock that is up high above the waves, and the foundation is a massive rock that is not going to move, then when the waves come and the storms come and the wind blows, it's still going to be there. So how does that relate to what we're talking about? So I want you guys to think. I know you guys, no matter how old you guys are, you guys have all probably experienced this storm. And real storms, yes, but also storms in life. Like could be a sickness. One of your friends or a family member could be really sick. And that's kind of scary because you don't actually know how they're going to do. And it can be nervous and scary. And it's a storm in your life because you don't know what to do. You just want to pray for them and them to be better. It could also be the situation of you have to move. And you have to move, so you're moving away from friends or family, and it's a new thing, and it really makes you nervous. And that could be a storm in life. It could be overwhelming. It could consume you. And often, like most all of us right now, would have the understanding of changing schools or school life changing. I know it's been a big deal, and that could be a storm. You miss your teachers, you miss your friends, and it's hard to figure out what that's going to be. And that's a storm in the whole family because it's hard to figure out what you're going to do when it comes to that. And these are all real storms. And there's probably more that are very, very big deals. And Jesus is acknowledging, even though this is so long ago in this Bible verse, that he cares for your storms and that actually has a solution to help you stay more calm during your storms. And that is being on the rock, being on a solid foundation. Not relying on things that could change, but relying on his unchanging love. So these things happen. And often after this happens, we feel smash, right? But Jesus is our solid foundation. He's willing to help us through these storms. There is no storm in your life that Jesus doesn't care for you and want to love on you and want to be your foundation in. Whether you think they're big, small, weird, whatever. He wants to be there. So what the cool thing about Jesus' teaching is, I'm going to read the last two verses and I'm going to read the point. And I want you guys to remember this. Right. And when Jesus finished these sayings or these teachings as parable, the crowds were astonished at teaching. They were like, wow, I understand things because he's such a good storyteller. But also it says, for his teaching was one of authority. Like they could tell this was not just a normal teacher. They could tell he's got to at least be a prophet. He knows so much. He knows things that God would know. And we all know now because he's a Messiah, the Son of God. But his message was so powerful, but yet so simple. And it is saying Jesus' constant, unfailing love should be the foundation of our life. Jesus' constant, unfailing love should be the foundation of our life. You can rely on Jesus to be your foundation, whether you are 7 years old or 177 years old and everything in between. You just have to realize that Jesus loves you and he wants to be that for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed the message. Hope you've had a great time at VBS Madness. Also, reminder, please make sure you do your day 5 activity as it should tie in with our lesson. Bye, guys.